Okay, so we're going to focus on saving the light, creating skies, finding atmospheric perspective in our painting, and we're going to just see how we can do. So we're going to starting with the sky. The first thing you do is, okay, am I going to need to draw anything first? What do you think?
Maybe the horizon line?
But is that really necessary?
Nah.
Okay, so this is one that we could just start painting. Now the horizon line, because it is over a lake, you want to make sure that that's straight so that that looks level. And what I can do first, I'm just going to wet my brush in the blue that I already have. Y'all can just watch this for a little bit, and then I'm going to let you do it. So I'm going to turn my paper sideways because I want a straight line for my horizon line. So I brace my finger against my paper and I drag it that way. See how light that is? So I can come back now and lay in some. And that's enough for my horizon line. I can always come back and make it darker because it's going to always get lighter anyway. So I have all this light in here. So first thing I want to do is I want to flood my paper. Now I don't even mind if I flood it down to where I just touched. Whoops, kind of mutilated that just a little bit. Because I want it very wet. I want pale yellow, kind of a orangey color. So I'm going to lay in my lights. It's the lightest color on my palette. And see how I'm just laying it in, but it's wet on wet. And wherever my clouds are that have that color, I want to put that in. And I can add a little brighter yellow to it or a little white to it. Whoa, that's way too bright. Just lift off a little bit. I don't want too much, but just a touch of color. Now, if I don't like all that yellow, I can lift that out, but I still want my paper wet. I have orange in my paper, so the next color I want is blue, but what happens when blue touches orange? It can go gray. So now I don't mind it going gray some with the yellow, but the blue and the orange are complementary. So I'm painting blue kind of around where, and this one thing with watercolor, you are not going to get the same look as an oil painting or an acrylic painting. It's very light and airy, and I'm skipping around. I'm even overlapping some of the orange that's there because I don't mind the gray shadows. I'm going to come back and add some of that in a minute.
Which blue are you using? The far right?
Both. The far right and the far left.
Far right and far left.
And normally but see on this particular one, the clouds get really dark toward the horizon. So I'm just going to lay it in and kind of fill it in.
Which yellow did you use it for? Because the yellow ochre for me is down at the bottom.
I didn't use any yellow ochre. I used a tiny bit of the lightest yellow, and it was too light. Most of what I used was the far right peachy color.
Okay.
But while it's laying it, kind of drying, I'm going to bring some more of the peachy color on the back side of the clouds, not the lightest side. I'm just kind of jumping it around, and I don't want to be concerned that it doesn't look exactly like the photo. Now down along the horizon line, it gets brighter and oranger. So I probably need to let that dry because I have a white. Do you see how I have a white line in between? I don't know if you can see it. It's right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I want to put a pure orange in there in a minute. But if I do it now, it's going to blur in with the blue. Okay, so right now, I'm okay with leaving that. If I want to add, if I want it, go ahead and do some of the darker blue that's on the back side. I pick up the darkest blue while it's still wet and create a little bit of shadowy effect. But because it's still wet, it's actually kind of turning a little greener than what I want. So, but watercolor is transparent. It's not going to always, I'm not using the same color that's in the photograph. If I get a similar value, then I'm all right with that. I'm
What
going
I found is when you put the original away, what you've done looks,
look. Oh, absolutely.
because nobody else is going to see that either.
Uh-huh.
So
True.
what
Well,
color are you using?
I went back to the second blue. It wasn't quite as green.
The second.
The second blue, it's almost has a lot of purple in
I
it.
mean,
Say
like
mine
the
comes
third
through.
row down second from the
Yeah.
left.
Yes.
That's my number 147.
It's ultramarine.
Mm. It would be similar. So I don't want it heavy. I just want it to.
I don't have words.
Mine doesn't either.
I have numbers.
I don't even have
No,
numbers.
I have nothing.
Mine have the words, on the box. I just did it from the box.
Third
wrote
row,
on that,
second.
Put it down.
Yeah, that's a little. But just by playing with your paint and putting a little bit in, letting some of it bleed together, letting it get a little darker toward the horizon line on this one. I'm barely touching the paper, and then it gets fairly solid over in here, so I can just kind of paint over that. But there's enough there.
The bottom of the photograph or something.
No, it's there.
I mean, I know, but when she said the orange streak across the bottom.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet.
I know, but is that the bottom of the photograph on the left?
The bottom of the photograph is right there.
Okay, good. I didn't know we were seeing the whole thing. Okay,
Yeah, there's hardly any lake.
gotcha.
And now that I want to go ahead and pick up that orange, that's probably dry enough that I can, well, helps if I load my brush. And then I can throw in just a little bit of brighter orange. Well, clean your brush.
That was my mistake too. I forget to clean my brush and then I have two colors in the pan.
But a lot of that is just trial and error and practicing. And when I look at this needs to be darker compared to over here. All across the bottom needs to be darker. But then I need to leave it alone and let it dry. And so so while we're working on skies, it's good to do a little, put it away, and like if I don't like it that dark right there, I can always just press it and lift a little off. But to me, that's still a pretty dramatic sky.
Oh,
Yeah.
the dark.
And,
I love the dark blue in there.
And I can always come back and add another layer. But if I'm there in person, this sky is not going to last very long.
Right.
So it is a very quick sketch. And that's why I don't know that I've told this class, but the evening class, I said, I'd like you to do at least 15 minutes a day. And 15 minutes, if you can learn to capture the essence of what you're seeing in 15 minutes, it doesn't have to, I'm not saying fine-tune perfect painting. Now, the paintings that I did for my husband out of here, I spent more time on because they were all from photos because I couldn't work when we hiked because he'd be there. He would have seen me. So they are all from photos, and I took more time with them because it was for a specific event or it was a gift. So, but some of these others, it can be just something really quick, like this right here. That was very quick, and just enough in the sky to remind myself where I was. And that it doesn't have to be, even that. That's not a sky, but that was very quick. This was very
Mountain
quick.
sky, yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's at Wild Acres. That's flat top? Flat top mountain? Tabletop mountain. I should read my notes. Table Rock. Now I got it right.
Can we
Yeah.
take a picture of your photo on our phone? You know what I mean?
Of which,
This
The
photo
sky.
you
oh,
just
absolutely,
You know, and
yeah.
we have it right
Yeah,
on
let me
phone.
pass. I think I even have
Is that
some.
right?
Yeah. You can take a picture, anything. Okay, so y'all practice that,
Okay.
okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are you gonna stop your recording while I practice?
Well, I think I probably will because